At around 9:45 a.m. on a quiet Friday morning at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, something no one expected happened. A woman was killed at her workplace by the man she once married. 40-year-old Latricia Green lost her life in a hospital basement hallway, a place meant for healing, not violence.
And now we want to turn our focus to the victim. As you can imagine, Latricia Green's family, friends, and coworkers are simply devastated. Her family sharing photos with us tonight.
Our team coverage continues now with 7 News Detroit reporter Ruta Alcenaida live with more from employees who hid in fear and coworkers who say they'll never forget their friend. Ruta.
Yeah, you guys, clearly just an emotional day for those that knew and loved Latricia Green, but also for the employees that were inside the hospital when those shots rang out, who had to run, hide, and pray that they weren't next.
It was horrible. It was the most horrible feeling, because when you're in a room and they tell you can't leave and it's somebody shooting, you just don't know. And your life just started flashing, in front of your eyes. So
to say Tashina Stevens was shaken up after the deadly shooting inside her workplace Friday morning would be an understatement. Was your shift already over, or are you leaving early?
I'm leaving early. I need to get out of here. No, this scared me too bad. It just traumatized me too much. No.
53-year-old Mario Green allegedly shot and killed his ex-wife in the basement of Henry Ford Hospital just off West Grand Boulevard before taking off. Latricia worked at the hospital and was on shift that day. Those that knew and worked side by side with her are absolutely devastated by the news.
She loved God. She focused on getting money and taking care of her family. Lord Jesus Christ, she was an amazing person.
Henry Ford Hospital was on lockdown for about an hour after the shots rang out before opening back up to patients and visitors. Streets were closed as the manhunt continued for the suspect throughout the afternoon, but staff inside the building say there was a lot of fear and confusion.
They were walking with their guns, like their hands on it, looking for this person. And we didn't know if he was still hiding, so we didn't know anything.
The disbelief still there too, knowing a life was taken far too soon in such a violent way.
She never did nothing to nobody. She was a nice, generous person.
She was magnificent. She was more than a friend. She was a mother. She was a wife. She did her job.
These employees now just hoping to heal and recover from such a terrifying day at work.
I cannot believe this. Okay, I cannot believe this.
Outside, doctors and nurses were beginning their shifts, and patients were walking in for care. Within minutes, panic spread as the hospital went into lockdown. Not because of a medical emergency, but because of a deadly shooting. Latricia Green, a longtime hospital employee, had been shot and killed while at work, allegedly by her ex-husband, 53-year-old Mario Green, who investigators say was not allowed inside the hospital. This was not an isolated or sudden act. Years earlier, another woman, Katina McCleany, would later come forward, saying Mario Green once pointed a gun at her after she visited a male friend, warning that if he couldn't have her, no one would.
Followed me to a friend's house one day, and because it was a man, I guess that upset him, and that's what led to him chasing me down and making me get out of my car and putting a gun to my head, because as he said, if I wasn't gonna be with him, I wouldn't be with anybody.
Katina says she filed a police report that day and got a restraining order against Mario. He then never contacted her again.
Her story, shared after Latricia's death, revealed a troubling pattern that had gone unchecked for decades. As chaos unfolded inside the hospital, co-workers described shock, fear, and heartbreak. Some were locked in rooms, others rushed to safety, all struggling to understand how someone they worked beside every day was suddenly gone. Outside, a man waited anxiously for news, knowing his girlfriend was inside the building when the shooting happened, unsure if she was safe.
Inside the hospital at the time, the man you're about to hear from, his wife, his girlfriend, I should say, had just given birth to their baby boy. Take a listen.
I was just getting back from getting coffee. I was getting food because my girlfriend, she just had our son. As I was walking to get on the elevator to go to the maternity unit, I just heard a bunch of people screaming. At the time, I didn't know it was an active shooter. I just knew it was a bunch of screaming going on. So I didn't know what really was going on until I actually turned the news on in the room. I went to the window to look to see what was going on, and I just seen a bunch of police running in here. And then I seen a couple of them, they had like, the AKs and the guns, and they were running in and out.
Police say Mario Green did not flee alone. Investigators later charged Anthony Lelamont Barnett, alleging he helped Green escape after the shooting and misled authorities during the search. This was not a random crime. It was a targeted act of domestic violence, one with warnings, history, and people left behind asking the same painful question: how did it get this far? Before we go deeper into this case, we would like to welcome you to our channel, True Crime Diaries, a place where we uncover shocking cases, unsolved mysteries, and real-life crimes. From headlines to hidden details, we break it all down so you know what really happened. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications to be first to know when a new case drops. These are real people, real tragedies, and lessons we can't ignore. Share this video. It could save a life. Let's dive in. At the center of this heartbreaking story is 40-year-old Latricia Green, a longtime employee at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. Her colleagues remember her as a kind, gentle soul who cared deeply about her work and the people around her. Latricia wasn't just an employee. She was part of the hospital family for more than 20 years, forming friendships with co-workers and earning admiration for her steady dedication to helping others. Family members described her as a sweet, caring person who touched many lives. Those who knew her have said she didn't deserve the violent end she faced, and their grief reflects the loss of someone truly special in their community. In the months before her death, Latricia's life had become filled with fear and stress. She fought hard to protect herself from ongoing threats, even trying to get legal help through the courts. Despite her efforts, the danger she faced from someone who once shared her life would not fade. Her story is not just about tragedy. It's about a woman who tried to rebuild her life, protect her peace, and keep herself safe until her final day. Her relationship with her ex-husband, Mario Green, had been troubled long after they divorced in 2018, and his behavior steadily worsened over time. Latricia and Mario had been together for about 15 years, but their marriage was marked by controlling and violent behavior. Friends say Mario never truly let go even after the divorce, regularly contacting Latricia despite her desire to move on with her life. She began seeing his harassment more often in the months before her death. At work, he showed up without her permission, tried to get into her workspace, and even called her job threateningly. Latricia also reported that Mario had damaged her belongings and interfered with her daily life. At one point, she said he broke into her car, ruined her clothes, and followed her down the road, trying to block her vehicle. Latricia filed her first request for a protective order in June, telling a judge that her ex-husband had been calling her job, showing up at her workplace, and threatening to meet her and her co-workers outside. That initial petition was denied by the court. Undeterred, she filed a second request on July 20th after the situation worsened. In those court papers, Latricia said his actions had become more violent, claiming he had broken into her car, destroyed her belongings, followed her on the road, and tried to block her vehicle while driving. She wrote that she was constantly looking over her shoulder and genuinely feared for her life. A judge granted the protection order on July 21st, agreeing that Mario Green posed a real threat. But there was a heartbreaking problem. The order was never formally delivered to him. Neither law enforcement nor a process server had served the papers, meaning Mario Green was never officially notified that the order existed before the shooting. Because the PPO was not served, it could not legally stop him from contacting Latricia, and he remained unaware of the court order meant to keep him away. Detroit police later said this failure to serve the document was a critical issue in the case and contributed to the tragic outcome. In the wake of Latricia's death, lawmakers and domestic violence advocates have highlighted this gap in Michigan's system. They argue that survivors shouldn't face barriers like costs or procedural delays when trying to protect themselves. Some state legislators are now pushing to eliminate fees for serving protective orders so future victims don't suffer the same fate. Latricia did everything she could within the legal system to request help. But when the protection she sought never reached the person threatening her, the order became nothing more than words on a page, and her pleas for safety went unheard. On Friday morning, August 22nd, 2025, the day started like any other for staff and patients at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. But just before 10 a.m., The routine of a busy healthcare facility was shattered by a sudden act of violence. That morning, 53-year-old Mario Green walked into the hospital where his ex-wife, 40-year-old Latricia Green, was working. According to police, he made his way to the basement area, a section of the building where many employees and suppliers come and go, and confronted her. Witnesses and authorities say the pair were involved in a verbal disagreement before the situation turned deadly. It was during that confrontation that Mario allegedly pulled out a handgun and fired multiple shots, fatally wounding Latricia. Just before 10 a.m. on that Friday, police received reports of a shooting in the basement. Officers and hospital security immediately responded to the scene, and the complex was temporarily placed on lockdown as the situation unfolded. As chaos spread through the hospital, security footage later showed a man walking out the front doors shortly after the shooting, leaving the scene and beginning a terrifying manhunt. Personnel and patients were halted in their tracks. Emergency procedures were paused, and the hospital went into lockdown mode until law enforcement could secure the location and assess what had occurred. In the hours that followed, local authorities confirmed Latricia's death and began piecing together what led to the tragedy. Her family, already frightened by previous threats, were left in shock as news spread that the very place she helped others was where her life was cut short. After the shooting at Henry Ford Hospital, police quickly realized the suspect was on the run, and a citywide search began to find him. Once authorities identified 53-year-old Mario Green as the person who allegedly killed his ex-wife, law enforcement from multiple agencies worked together to track him down. The Detroit Police Department led the effort, with help from the Michigan State Police, the FBI, and the ATF, among others. Search teams checked surveillance footage, followed tips from the public, and combed through neighborhoods where his vehicle, a white Dodge Charger, had been spotted after the shooting. Hours passed as officers warned residents to remain vigilant and report any sightings. That overnight investigation finally paid off. In the early morning hours of August 23, 2025, shortly before 3 a.m., police located and arrested Mario Green without incident on Detroit's east side. He did not resist and was taken into custody safely. Our officers worked tirelessly to get this person off the streets, Detroit Police Chief Todd Bettison said in a statement, thanking other agencies and community members who provided information that helped lead to the arrest.
Fox 2 caught up with Detroit Police Chief Todd Bettison at a community event to talk about the arrest.
It took a lot of help from our ATF, our FBI, our Wayne County Sheriff, and everybody else, our Michigan State Police. Just everybody came out to help, and we were able to get him in custody and without incident.
Before the tragic killing of Latricia Green in August 2025, another woman came forward with her own dangerous encounter with the same suspect, Mario Green, dating back more than 2 decades. Katina McCleany is a woman from Detroit who dated Mario Green briefly in 2001 when she was about 20 years old. The two met while working together at a convenience store. McCleany says that when she tried to end the relationship, Green did not accept the breakup, and his behavior quickly became frightening. According to her account, Green began stalking her, following her around and leaving notes on her car. On one occasion, McCleany says Green followed her to a friend's house after she visited a male friend, an event that she believes triggered his jealousy. McCleany alleges that Green forced her to get out of her car and put a gun to her head, telling her that if she wouldn't be with him, she wouldn't be with anyone. She froze in fear during the encounter. She also recalls Green wearing a lanyard with a photo of her child, even though he was not the father. McCleany says she filed a police report after the incident and obtained a restraining order against Green, which she says ended his harassment at that time. After the news broke that Mario Green had allegedly shot and killed his ex-wife Latricia Green inside Henry Ford Hospital, McCleany said she felt uneasy and emotional seeing his name and photo again, having not seen or heard from him since 2001. She spoke publicly both in honor of Latricia and to raise awareness about patterns of domestic violence that can escalate if not fully addressed. Through tears, McCleany said she wanted to share her story to help others and to make sure Latricia's tragic death was not in vain, urging that people take stalking and violent behavior seriously before it leads to irreversible harm. McCleany's experience shows a pattern of threatening and violent behavior by Mario Green toward women he was romantically involved with, decades before Latricia's death. Her account is one of the pieces of testimony that paint a broader picture of the dangerous history behind the 2025 shooting incident. Not just a moment of sudden violence, but behavior that troubled more than one person over years.
We begin tonight with a woman opening up about her experience with the man accused of shooting and killing his ex-wife at the hospital where she worked.
Welcome to 7 News Detroit at 6. I'm Carolyn Clifford.
And I'm Mike Duffy. Thank you for joining us.
Mario Green is accused of killing his ex-wife, Latricia Green, at Henry Ford Hospital where she worked.
While the suspect went into hiding, we're now learning that his ex-girlfriend feared for her safety, thinking she could be his next target.
Well, tonight she is talking to 7 News Detroit reporter Ruta Olsonida about her violent encounters with the suspect and raising awareness about domestic violence in her honor.
That ex-girlfriend is Katina McLenny. She says her and Mario Green dated back in 2001 when she was just 20 years old. She says she wasn't brave enough to speak up back then, but she is now, and she's doing it for Latricia Green.
What would you want to tell her if she was sitting here today?
I'll fight for you.
Katina McKinley has found her voice and is using it to stand up for someone who lost theirs, Latricia Green. Mario Green is accused of shooting and killing his ex-wife at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit last Friday. That's a name and face Katina hadn't heard in decades until she saw his photo on the news.
My heart just felt like it dropped into my feet because I hadn't seen him since 2001.
Katina says her and Mario met through work when she was young, and they had a brief relationship. She eventually wanted out, and that's when he allegedly began following her, stalking her, even leaving notes on her car. Then it all came to a dramatic peak.
He followed me to a friend's house one day, and because it was a man, I guess that upset him. And that's what led to him chasing me down and making me get out of my car and putting a gun to my head because, as he said, if I wasn't gonna be with him, I wouldn't be with anybody.
Katina says she filed a police report that day and got a restraining order against Mario. He then never contacted her again. But Latricia wasn't so lucky. She was granted a personal protection order back in July, but it was never served.
This never should have happened to me, her, or anybody else. If a person wants to leave, they have that right to leave.
Jenny Hooper is the interim executive director over at First Step, a domestic violence and sexual assault agency in Wayne County. She says she's not surprised Mario is allegedly a repeat offender.
That is a pattern behavior. That is what we know about abuse.
Green was arraigned on Monday, along with an accomplice that was allegedly helping him hide out during that manhunt. Green pleaded not guilty, but Katina says she knows the truth of what happened to her and will do everything in her power to get justice for Latricia.
What do we do? Because this is happening too often.
In Detroit, I'm Ruta Olsonida, 7 News Detroit.
Certainly helps when people speak up so others learn lessons from it.
Yeah, thankfully she is.
After his arrest, authorities formally charged Mario Green with a series of serious crimes related to the killing of his ex-wife at Henry Ford Hospital. Mario Green was accused of first-degree premeditated murder, meaning prosecutors believe he planned and intentionally killed Latricia Green inside her workplace. In addition, he faces charges including discharging a firearm in a building causing death, aggravated stalking for his repeated threatening behavior, possession of a firearm by a person prohibited from owning one, and multiple counts of felony firearm for using a gun during the alleged crime.
Hi, what's your name, sir? Mario Green. Thank you. This will be case 25059589, State of Michigan versus Mario Dwayne Green, counsel.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. APA Larry King for the people, P78774.
Judge Philip Raid on behalf of Mario Green. We would waive the formal reading, stand mute. He has been advised of his constitutional rights.
Court will enter not guilty plea on your client's behalf as to bond.
Your Honor, the people request bond in this matter be set at remand. Michigan Court Rule 6.106 permits remand in cases where the defendant is charged with murder. In this case, it's alleged that the defendant entered a hospital full of workers, civilians, and people being treated for medical issues, and in that hospital sought out his ex-wife at her office and fired a shot, killing her. Your Honor, this is a horrific charge. It's first-degree premeditated murder. He is facing potential life in prison. Based on the nature of the charges, the potential threat to the safety, and the fact that he ran, he hid, he had to be searched out by police over the course of several days with the assistance of several law enforcement agencies. I think he's an unreasonable risk of safety to the community and poses a flight risk. The people are requesting remand. Your Honor, if the court is not inclined to remand the defendant, we would request $1 million cash bond with GPS tether house arrest.
Thank you.
Judge, I did speak with Mr. Green in depth. We are asking the court for some type of nominal bond and anything other than a remand, Your Honor.
All right. Well, the allegations here are as serious as they get in this state. First-degree premeditated murder, and particularly the details of the allegations are just horrendous. Court does find Mr. Green poses a danger to the community as well as the seriousness of the offense. Court will remand Mr. Green to the custody of Wayne County Sheriff's pending further hearings in this matter. Next court dates are September 4, probable cause conference, and September 11, preliminary exam. Both of those are in front of Judge Jakay here in 36th District Court. Anything else for this record?
No, Your Honor, nothing further from the people. Thank you.
Nothing further.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Thank you, sir. You can step aside.
At his arraignment in 36th District Court, Green entered a plea. Court officials also denied him bond, meaning he remained in jail while the legal process continued due to the severity of the charges and public safety concerns. Alongside him, 54-year-old Anthony Lelamont Barnett, accused of helping Green escape after the shooting, was also arraigned. Prosecutors charged Barnett with accessory after the fact and lying to a police officer, and a judge set a $100,000 cash bond, along with a GPS tether and strict curfew, while he awaits future hearings. In the weeks following these initial court appearances, both men participated in a probable cause hearing in the same district court, where judges examined whether there was enough evidence for the case to move forward. Later proceedings included longer hearings with witness testimony and surveillance review, during which the judge decided there was sufficient evidence to bind Mario Green over to circuit court, a step that moves the case toward trial. Defense attorneys for Green have challenged parts of the investigation, questioning what evidence connects him directly to the shooting, and have begun preparing arguments ahead of his next scheduled court date. If convicted on the most serious count of first-degree murder, Green could face life in prison without parole. After the shooting, Latricia Green's family spoke out about the pain and fear she had lived with in the months leading up to her death. They repeatedly described her as someone who tried to protect herself and needed help. Family members say Latricia tried to warn authorities and the legal system about the danger she faced from her ex-husband. Relatives remember her as a caring person who didn't deserve to die in the place she worked helping others. She was such a sweet person, one cousin said, reflecting the deep sadness and shock that followed her killing. Loved ones said her pleas for protection were heartbreaking. She was crying out for help in the weeks before the shooting. Colleagues from her workplace also shared their grief. People who worked closely with Latricia describe her not just as a coworker, but as a friend, someone whose loss is felt deeply among her peers at Henry Ford Hospital. Community leaders and law enforcement also expressed sympathy. The Detroit police chief publicly offered condolences to Latricia's family and thanked residents who helped with tips during the search for the suspect, acknowledging the community's role in bringing the investigation forward. Advocates against domestic violence echoed the family's frustration, emphasizing that Latricia's case shows the severe consequences when warning signs are not fully addressed. Her death sparked renewed calls from survivors and activists for stronger protections and awareness around abuse and stalking. In Michigan and across the United States, domestic violence remains a persistent threat, and many advocates argue that the legal and safety systems do not always work as they should to safeguard victims before it's too late. The fact that Latricia's personal protective order was granted but never delivered to her ex-husband highlighted a significant weakness in how protective orders take effect. a gap that may be common in other states as well. Lawmakers responded by introducing and advancing bipartisan legislation aimed at reforming how these protective orders are served. Under new bills passed unanimously by the Michigan Senate, law enforcement would be required to serve protective orders within 72 hours and at no cost to survivors, removing a financial and procedural barrier that many victims face. The measure is now moving forward in the State House. Supporters of these reforms say they could make a real difference for people living with ongoing threats. Advocates and domestic violence organizations note that charging fees or leaving victims responsible for serving protective orders themselves can delay critical legal protections. Removing that burden might help ensure that orders take effect swiftly and effectively, especially in high-risk situations. Experts also point out that this incident has drawn attention to the broader policy landscape around domestic violence, including tools like extreme risk protection orders, ERPOs, and other safety planning resources designed to prevent firearms from remaining in the hands of people deemed dangerous. Efforts to strengthen these laws and support services have been part of statewide and national discussions on reducing gun and domestic violence. Latricia's story has shown policymakers and the public that even when victims take the steps the law provides, the system must work reliably to protect them. That's a wrap on today's case. But the story doesn't stop here. There are countless voices still unheard, stories still in the shadows, and truths still waiting to be uncovered. Here at True Crime Diaries, we're dedicated to digging deep, exposing the facts, honoring the victims, and keeping their memories alive. Hit subscribe, like this video, turn on notifications so you're always first to know when a new case drops. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.
Calling case number 250-595-8801. This is the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Anthony Lee Lamont Barnett, who's charged with count 1, accessory after the fact to a felony, count 2, lying to a peace officer, violent crime investigation, with an habitual offender, second offense notice. I'm also calling case number 250-595-8901, which is the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Mario Dwayne Green, who's charged with count 1, homicide, murder, first degree, premeditated, count 2, firearms discharged in or at a building, count 3, aggravated stalking, count 4, weapons, firearms, possession by a prohibited person, count 5, weapons, felony, firearm, count 6, weapons, felony, firearm, count 7, weapons, felony, firearm, count 8, weapons, felony, firearm, with an habitual offender, fourth offense notice. Will the parties please identify themselves for the record?
Good morning, Your Honor. APA Larry King for the people on both files, P78774.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jennifer Coldthirst, P52876. I am here on behalf of Mr. Anthony Lee Lamont Barnett. Sir, state your name.
Anthony Lee Lamont Barnett.
Good morning, Your Honor, to you and your staff. Brian Berry, P76788, appearing on behalf of Mr. Mario Green.
All right. Mr. Barnett, can you please state your name?
Barnett, Anthony Lee Lamont Barnett.
And Mr. Green, can you state your name as well?
Mario Dwayne Green.
All right, thank you both. All right. Counsel Coldthirst, how would you like to proceed?
Your Honor, I'd like to set this for a preliminary examination.
Right. And while it looks like Mr. Barnett was arraigned on the warrant of August 25th, that would mean his 21 days would be September 17th. However, I'm not sure if that would be adequate time. How are you in discovery?
Your Honor, I was just explaining to the case.
You're breaking up.
Attorney Coldthirst, we can't quite hear you. The signal's kind of bad, so what I'm going to ask you to do, why don't you turn off the video, leave your audio on, and then I can hear what you're saying.
Certainly.
All right, now you were saying.
Your Honor, I'm in need of the discovery. I've not received anything. I was just assigned to the case less than an hour ago.
I understand. So I think that there's good cause to go beyond 21 days, given you've just been assigned the case. You need time to get the discovery, time to review it, and time to review that with your client. And let's see, Attorney Barry, how about you? What is your intent with Mr. Green?
Thank you, Judge. In a similar position, I was just recently spot appointed a little while ago. I spoke to Mr. Green. He understands that he has a right to have a preliminary exam within 21 days, and he is willing to waive that right, Judge, so that we can get discovery, review it, and have a fruitful discussion.
All right, Mr. Green? Sir, can you hear me, Mr. Green?
Go ahead, sir.
All right, did you hear what your attorney just said, Mr. Green?
Yes.
All right, so as he mentioned, you do have a right to have your preliminary examination within 21 days of being arraigned on the warrant. However, because Attorney Barry has just been appointed to your case, he literally has just talked to you within the last couple minutes, and he has not received discovery for this case. On your behalf, he's requesting additional time beyond the 21 days so that he can, 1, obtain the discovery, 2, review that discovery, and 3, then review that discovery with you in preparation for your preliminary examination. Having said that, are you okay with us going beyond the 21 days so that he can accomplish those 3 things?
Yes.
All right. And Attorney Cawthorst, while I believe that there's good cause for both defendants, I'm going to ask your client the same. So, Mr. Barnett?
Yes.
All right, sir, did you hear kind of what I just went through? I'll lay it out for you. So, again, Attorney Cawthorst has just been appointed to your case, and I know she's just spoken to you within the past few minutes. She, as well, will need additional time to, 1, obtain the discovery for your case, 2, time to review that discovery, and 3, time to review that discovery with you in preparation for your preliminary examination. Having said that, you have a right to have your preliminary examination within 21 days of being arraigned on the warrant. But to give your attorney time to go through these things, she has requested, no, I shouldn't say that you requested Attorney Cawthorst. I think I established that I found that there was good cause. But if I'm correct, you're asking to go beyond the 21 days for that. Am I correct, Attorney Cawthorst?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So with that, Mr. Barnett, do you mind us going beyond 21 days so that your attorney has time to look at those discovery materials and review them with you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. So both defendants are going to waive the 21 days. Having said that, I am looking at a potential date for this preliminary examination. And Attorney King, I should ask you, for Mr. Barnett, these charges are, I don't see that this will be 1 examination. It looks like 2, but I think you mentioned that there are probably going to be overlapping witnesses. Am I correct?
That's right, Judge. I would agree that it's 2 distinct examinations, but there's witnesses that overlap, specifically through the investigating officers.
Okay. How many witnesses do you have for Mr. Barnett's case?
Between 2 and 3, Judge.
And then how many do you have for Mr. Green?
Between 4 and 5, and the 2 and 3 from Mr. Barnett's will also be needed in Mr. Green's. So I'd say it's an additional 2 to 3. Additional 1 to 2, sorry.
All right, so for that 2 to 3, how long are you looking at? I'm trying to gauge how long it's going to take for these 2 exams within the day.
So, Mr. Barnett's examination, I anticipate being the shorter of the 2.
Clearly.
I could probably wrap that in an hour. I would need additional time, maybe up to 2 hours, to present the evidence for Mr. Green's preliminary examination. And that's assuming we don't have additional delays, lengthy crosses, or lengthy arguments.
Who are we looking at afternoon on the 16th? I don't know. That scares me for that. No. 23rd, we have 9:30 solely.
Around about 7.
Yeah, you know what? We can do the 23rd. There's something else that's going to take that up slot. 23rd is not.
Okay, which month?
So we're looking at September's already done.
Right.
I'm in October. So I saw. We can't. The 30th, that's the 6th defendant case. Yeah, that may be on that.
That's all should have been. Or the 4th of November. Yeah, I'm thinking about that. They can have all day.
Shit.
Well, they can come in on that 30.
I apologize, I'm having a hard time hearing the court. Are we talking about dates?
Yeah, well, I'm not discussing dates with you. I'm talking with my clerk.
Oh, okay. I apologize, Judge. I apologize.
I'm just concerned. I've got the afternoon of October 16th, but starting at 1:30, I'm a little concerned that may not be enough time.
I will say that that's a very good day for me. I do not have any trials or other obligations that day.
I have a trial on the 16th.
Okay, well then that takes care of that anyway. All right, so then, unfortunately, what I'm going into, it would be, I'm full on September, I'm full in October, so that would take me to November 4th.
Your Honor, unfortunately, I am set to be in a trial the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of November. I am free the 6th and 7th.
I can do either of those dates, 6 or 7, that's fine.
Your Honor, the 6th or 7th also works for my schedule.
So we can take November 6th at 11:30. That'll give you a start in the morning, and then we have all the afternoon.
Very good, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, so we'll put both of those on for that time. That way we can handle both of those exams kind of, we'll take it as you will, how many witnesses are here. We can go with either one. So again, we'll put both of those on for 11:30 on November 6th, since you got the same witnesses for the prosecution.
Very well, Judge. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. Anything further?
Yes, Your Honor. As to bail regarding Mr. Anthony Barnett, defense is respectfully requesting a downward modification of the $100,000 cash bail. Mr. Barnett is 54 years old, unmarried. He is the father of one child. However, he has raised 6 others and has 15 grandchildren. He did attend high school. He went up to the 12th grade. He's currently been working full-time with a company out of Fraser called Specialty Steel Treatment. He's a furnace operator and a blaster. He has strong ties to the community. He could stay.
You breaking up? We can't hear you.
Attorney Call first.
Pardon?
We couldn't hear you. I'm not sure if you're moving around. If you are, you might want to stay still for a moment. Try that once again. We couldn't quite hear you.
My client is not a flight risk. He can reside with his godbrother, Marlon Cook, whose phone number is 313-289.
Well, I don't think you need to do quite that at the moment, but go ahead, keep going.
Yes. And the godbrother resides in the city of Warren. My client, again, is responsible for continuing his employment so that he will not have to depend on the government to survive. I understand he has been habitualized as a second offender. However, it appears that his last contact was way back in 1990. Your Honor, my client does not use or abuse any controlled substances. He doesn't have any mental health history. However, since his confinement in the Wayne County Jail, he has been very low in spirits, depressed, probably needs some medication to overcome this confinement in a secured facility. He is respectfully requesting, Your Honor, to please give him the opportunity to post a more reasonable bail. The $100,000 is excessive.
Prosecution?
He has no violent contacts in the past, meaning violent convictions.
Prosecution?
Yes, Judge. My argument in this is going to be the same as was presented in arraignment and at the bond redetermination hearing, and that's this. I believe that Mr. Barnett is an unreasonable flight risk based on the allegations in this case. It is alleged that after the death of the victim in Mr. Green's case, Mr. Green called Mr. Barnett and explained to him what was going on. It is alleged that Mr. Barnett advised Mr. Green to ditch his cell phone because the police may be tracking it. Mr. Barnett then went to Walmart in Roseville and bought a burner cell phone that was recovered in his home, where he and the defendant, Green, were both arrested after he had lied to the police about knowing or not knowing the whereabouts of Mr. Green. You couple this with the lengthy list of outstanding traffic warrants that were out for Mr. Barnett at the time of his arrest, and it just shows a pattern here, Judge, of a person who does not come to court, does not follow through, knows how to evade police, knows how to evade arrest, and has no problem lying to law enforcement. I think he is an unreasonable flight risk. I believe bond is appropriate under these circumstances, and I ask the bond remain as is.
All right, whenever there's a request for a bond modification, the court has to consider two factors. One, whether the defendant is a flight risk. I am concerned about that. Given these charges, the charges in and of themselves cause me concern that he's a flight risk, in that they are, in effect, charges regarding really avoiding prosecution, and as well as lying to the police, or at least these are the allegations. Again, I've heard no testimony thus far, only allegations, not testimony. So these are only charges. However, the nature of the charges themselves are quite serious. One, and they seem to indicate a pattern of attempting prosecution and helping not only to avoid prosecution, but helping to avoid apprehension altogether. So I'm concerned about my number one factor, or the number one factor, flight risk. In addition, the other factor the court has to consider is safety of the public. I'm concerned, again, these charges, I have to take this case on its own, but it's related to another case regarding alleging a homicide. And the charges for Mr. Barnett are such that it is alleged that he is helping someone who is charged with murder in effect to avoid, again, being apprehended by the police and avoid prosecution. Those things cause me concern for the safety of the public as well. I would note also, Mr. Barnett does have a prior conviction, and while it is from some time ago, I would note that it's for unlawfully driving away an automobile. So again, that's a flight issue right there as well, but that's another concern. In addition to that, I would note when he was arraigned on the warrant regarding this case on August 25th, the magistrate who handled the case on that date set a bond of $100,000 cash for surety. I would note that Mr. Barnett was then given a bond redetermination hearing before the Chief Judge of 36th District Court, our own Judge William C. McConico. Judge McConico saw fit to have the bond continue. I'm not sure if I've heard anything different than those two people had, but based on what I have heard today, I'm concerned, especially for the two factors that the court has to consider, flight risk as well as the safety of the public. And so for that reason, I'm not going to modify the bond. The bond shall remain as is.
Will Your Honor consider referring the case to the defendant screening unit?
I will.
Please.
I'll order a DSU.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right?
Thank you, Judge. I would simply ask for a DSU referral for Defendant Green.
All right. I'll order a DSU for Mr. Green as well. All right. Anything further?
Not from the people, Judge.
Defense?
Yes, nothing on behalf of Mr. Barnett. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
All set up, Mr. Green, Your Honor.
All right. Have a great day.